order the occupancy tax meeting for May 29th, 2015. I have a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll make that motion.
John, Ron, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Report on revenues from county treasurer.
Good morning, everybody. I think I've distributed the report to everybody. It looks good news. We're up 7.3% from this time last year. 7.3%. So collections are doing well. Any other questions?
We're liable to hit $4 million this year.
I think we might. I was thinking that myself this morning, that we might do that. This is another spot for me to just throw this out there about the sales tax. I still don't understand why occupancy is going up and sales tax we're having all kinds of problems with. I'm going to continue to beat that drum for quite a while, but because these have always mirrored each other in the past. Not exactly, but anyway. Any other questions?
No, just a point on that. I've been meeting the last couple of weeks a lot of business people, and they say they're raising their prices of the rooms. That's why our tax is going up. But even if that's so, the sales tax should go up also because the prices of the rooms is sales tax. So there's something not right with the way.
I mean, I look at the big ticket items like car sales, okay, and I've talked to some of the car dealers, and they're not having, super spectacular, but they're doing fine. And the prices of vehicles are going up, so the sales tax should go up there. I mean, there's a lot of indicators that saying the economy is getting better, but we're not seeing it in the sales tax. So, I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. Just beating on that again.
Any other questions for Mike? Okay, thank you, Mike. Report of activity from the Adirondack Civic Center Coalition.
Morning, everyone. Couple of things. I just met with Martin for about half an hour to go over the report I submitted at the last meeting. We tweaked the format of it a little bit. I'll revise that report and submit that one and second quarters when that one is due. We had a number of events in the month of May. Our main event, Godsmack, was a great success. There were over 3,500 attendees at that event, ticket sales. We had Sesame Street, some graduations, an MMA fight, and we have now officially booked a similar Godsmack type event for the fall. So that was a new addition since the last time we were here.
We're working on a couple others. We have a couple more possibilities. We're getting very surprisingly a lot of inquiries. We're getting really positive. We had a meeting last night. It's just we're really uplifted about the girls in the office are reaching out, and we're getting a lot of inquiries. We have some real good news. Hopefully within the next couple of weeks that we're going to be able to jump out and shout about. So things are working real well. Very pleased. Very pleased with what's going on.
Would you say we've hired a second events girl since the last time we were here? In the last month or two, we have 2 women now in the office of promoting events.
We have a girl, answering the phones because she's getting so busy. We have a girl answering the phones and inquiries and things like that. So.
Yep, 2 new employees.
We're also interviewing for as you all know, Jack is here and was a temporary fit. We have some great candidates that to come and be our permanent facility manager. So we have some inquiries locally. When I say locally, within the Albany region and outside. So we feel real confident making some good progress.
Anyone have questions for this?
Ron? Thank you. How do you feel about on your expense side of the ledger? You've been able to significantly lower the overall operating expense
Yes.
of the Civic Center, and if so, do you think you're going to continue to be able to improve on that?
Yes, we do. We just, matter of fact, we had our board meeting on Tuesday,
Yeah.
and, Rick Fuller, who's, taking care of the financing for us, and, it actually was, Rick is, one of our board members and a volunteer, but to get to the point where you're talking about, we felt we had to make a decision of hiring somebody, so we offered that to Rick, and he's gonna do some pro bono and some work, 'cause it's just too heavy to get where you're talking about. And, we, some real good, just, for example, getting rid of Global. We bought them out for $150,000, that's saving us over $300,000 a year, it's $300,000 right there. It's, the revenue is coming in better, our bills are in pretty good order, we're very excited about that. We need to get some more donations for our capital thing, and we know that hopefully some big hitters will come in. We're up to about $725 or $750 now. TD Bank just gave us another 10. And so there's positive stuff out there, so yes, we are. And we feel very good about where we're at, and don't forget, we're headed to the downtime of the year. And, we think coming in next year, we're looking at, taking over the concessions ourselves. That's not a guarantee yet, but we're working through that. We're having lots of discussion, meeting with people, and we think that that would be a great upside to our economic stability. And, not necessarily the stuff downstairs, but upstairs, because after all, you're selling pretzels, you're selling things that don't take a lot of preparation, and we feel that financially that upside is really good for us there, that we should control that. And hopefully this new manager that comes on will take care of that part of that. So,
If I could follow on, just so on an annualized, say on an annualized basis, you trimmed the expense picture by, if it was $300,000 in one contract, what would it be? What would be your best guess annually now that you trimmed your operating conditions?
well, our goal, when we did our pro forma, of course, it's changing, I think, so far more positive. We're finding a lot of undercurrent money that was there and wasn't being managed right. I don't, just put anything out, but you have the business people who've been in business all their lives, managed banks and all, and with this, so we're finding lots of, and our original program was that if that $600,000, we had to get to that loss. So we got 300 right there. And we needed help from you folks to carry us over that. We also felt that if we raised that $1 million, which $600,000, was to pay for the city, right? We have about 7 1/4, I said. And our goal was to have an extra 200 for 2 years. So if we could get to $1 million, that 200 would over that lap. And I think we're in good shape for that. And maybe, better than that. So we're really, we're trimming a lot of fat.
And also to further that point, we're trimming a lot of fat, but for example, we're looking to ways to increase the income side of events as well. So we inherited, a half a year's contracts from Global that they had already negotiated for events when we came in. Now we're in the position of doing those ourselves for future events. And we're really getting into those contracts and saying, look, can't we do better with percentages for our cuts? Can't we get a flat fee off the top as a rental right off the bat? So it's a two-step part, not only helping our expenses, but also increasing the revenue side. And we're seeing that the event people are willing to negotiate those things. So that's a positive as well.
Yeah, to that point, one of the things that was done before, when an event would come in, they take this pool of money, and the only thing that was guaranteed would be the performer. They call it a guarantee for the performer. So say that performer got 35, 50, 100. That was guaranteed. Everything else went to this side, and then they call if you had a 50-50 split, that seems common in these promotions. Sometimes it's a 30-30, you have 3 partners in on it, meaning us being one, the facility being one, and then 2 other partners or 1 partner. And then they divide this all up after all expense, and it's so convoluted. I mean, God, we pulled our hair out. Rick told me, I said, how did they do this? Oh my God. So there was nothing guaranteed to the house, nothing guaranteed to our bills. And so if it worked well, and then it's an 80-20 where we only get 20. So what we did in the last contract, we just did, which Liz is alluding to, we said, we have to have our guarantee like the performer has his guarantee. So in this last contract, we just put in, guaranteed first to the house, $18,000. We feel that's our number somewhere. We're still tweaking that. We don't have that for sure. So on our performances now, it's guaranteed And one person said, well, say, hey, we gotta do this, because we can't put on something for the sake of putting on. We have to pay our bills, and we wanna bring people in for the taxes and all that, we need to do that. So that's the kind of thing we're doing. We just did another one yesterday, we put that guarantee in also. So we're trying to say, it's not just about, taxpayers paying the bills and, who cares, and I don't think that was the attitude, but it wasn't overseen. So, I think we're working for that.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Request for, I lost my glasses. $1,800 for Facebook marketing for, the Festival Committee, Charles Wood Park, $1,200 for November ads, newsletter ads, for Mannix Marketing. Mayor?
Morning, everyone. I brought this to the attention of the O&M committee, and I believe they referred it to occupancy tax. This is a proposal from Mannix Marketing, basically for two items. The Facebook marketing, which is their Facebook page that has over 139,000 fans, and for the newsletter ads, which is a monthly newsletter that goes out to 32,000 people. We're too late for May, so we were considering just June, July, and August. The village board has approved it, and we actually went ahead and took on the posters. They're underway, being printed now, and the village is intending to pay for those. As you know, Mannix, their LakeGeorge.com is a hot item on the internet. Some of you know that probably way better than I do. I think that we need to do as much as we can the first year to promote the Festival Commons. It's really been very, very difficult and trying when you figure out that we've now got 25 events, and one is coming right on top of another. And for the most part, they're musical events, with the exception of the Brew Fest and the Wine Festival and 2 craft shows. So we have a very narrow window to really plug an event. My event is sandwiched in between, for Save the Lake, is in between John Strong's Lake George Arts Project Festival and Jonathan Newell's Festival that's raising money for the Strand Theater. So I think we really have to help these folks out. It isn't like SPAC, where you get a group that's playing for 2 or 3 weeks, and if you can't make it on Monday, you can go Wednesday. If you don't know about it Monday, you'll find out about it Saturday. So for the first year, I'd like to you could consider doing a little bit more advertising for the promoters than we would later on, just to, again, raise awareness, make certain that we do our best to see that these are successful, because they're all optimistic in calling it their first annual, second annual. We want them to come back every single year, so we book them. So I would recommend not all 18 events, but only 9 for the Facebook marketing page. I checked with her yesterday. She said if we did do those 2, she would give us the first one free as well, which is the calendar that she has up there every single day. But she would be promoting, starting on Sunday of each week, whatever event was the following week in July, August, and September, for this amount of money.
I'm somewhat confused by the fact that when Ron developed his plan, the redistribution of funds for occupancy tax, he had allowed $80,000 for the town of Lake George in Bolton Landing and Queensbury, I believe it was.
40 apiece.
40?
30. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at it. 40. Sorry, 40.
And I argued with Ron to increase the town share to $100,000 for festival space events. Why isn't it coming out of the $100,000?
Well, I you had given me, generously, $25,000, to publicize events or assist events that weren't booked in time for when you folks had your meeting.
Right.
I'm suggesting that, what I'm talking about today, that this comes out of the 25,000 you've
Okay.
already given us. I'm not
Okay.
suggesting, I should have mentioned that, I'm not suggesting that it's additional money
Okay.
coming from this group.
All right.
I've got that 25,000, it starts June 1, the check will be coming to the village, and I'm suggesting that this come out of that. The poster fee did not, we took it right out of our general fund because
Okay.
this is our year end tomorrow, so.
Okay. Rachel, did you have a question?
I had just emailed the chairman ahead of time with some concerns about the cost of the advertising as it related to the Facebook. It seemed a little high. When we talk about, we love Facebook because it's free for the most part, but I do understand that there's some dollars associated with advertisement on Facebook, and I wondered if there was any backup documentation or what, how many different social media hits you were going to get for was it $1,900 for 9 events for?
It would be $1,800.
$1,800.
Right.
So I just wondered if there was any backup information that perhaps you could send out to the board. It just struck me as something that was a little high.
Yeah, I'm not much of a guru on internet. I don't know pricing related to this. I do know that we would know how many hits we got and where the people were from. She told me there would be a report on that. Other than that, I can't really explain it because I'm not really up on this stuff. I don't know the pricing. I know she gave the village a quote for our own website page, and we did not pursue it. But this I thought was worthwhile. I don't know the answer to that.
Well, that's what,
Yeah.
that's familiar with Mannix, I'm sure. I just was looking at the agenda.
I think the fact that she's giving us she gave us a quote for the village to get on the calendar, and it was the same rate, 2,500. She's throwing that into this. I think that has some bearing, maybe two, I'm not sure. So we're getting a $2,500 value, basically, she says, for nothing.
So I guess what the mayor is looking for is approval for $3,000 to be spent out of the $25,000 that we allotted for advertising. Ron?
I'll
Second. And any other questions? Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Against?
There's a question. After the
Oh. Do you have something else?
Yes, I just wanted to ask, in that plan, we set aside a certain amount of money for Warren County responsibilities, whether at Wood Park or at the fairgrounds. And I was just wondering, the monies that we set aside for Wood Park at the county, were any of those dollars going to be used for any of the improvements that were scheduled where we had financial responsibilities, like, for example, the fence or whatever? How exactly we are going to apply those dollars for this year?
I don't know. I don't think we've really had a discussion on that. I think we need to sit down and figure that out, because we are gonna have to pay for the fence here shortly, so, that, we need to sit down and figure that out.
Well, if we could, if you could get back to us on that, because we might have to straddle the year to garner the dollars necessary for those improvements, if that's the way it's going to be paid for. If not, then there would be, those dollars would be available, should we have other responsibilities.
Any other questions for the mayor?
Just a comment, I mean, I commend you on everything you do. Mayor's been taking the lead on this, and I feel we gotta do some of these things this year, and by the end of this year, we should have exactly how this year went, and really, put a budget out for next year, and so we don't have to keep running back and forth with this stuff. But I think that by the end of this year, we'll know how this first year went, and I think it's, we gotta do all this stuff to do all we can to get this year a shot in the arm, so I applaud you for all the work you do.
Yeah, I have just two more items. One is, we're announcing 3 new events. Been working with High Peaks, which is a promotion outfit out of Albany. They're taking 3 weekdays, 8/13, 8/20, and also they're taking the night before the Arlo Guthrie concert and bringing in the folks that backed him up over in Pittsfield, which many of you may know was a complete sellout. So that's 3 new events on 3 weeknights, except for the WEQX concert, which is the night before the night before Arlo Guthrie. And incidentally, the tickets for Arlo Guthrie are selling very, very well. The other thing I gave you all to consider, and you don't have to do it today, lady from WMHT, I believe it is, they are doing a documentary on the life of Charlie Wood. I'm sure you're familiar with the public television channel. They're seeking advertising from Warren County and from the village and town, whomever, because of Charlie Wood's importance in Warren County, and also, of course, the Charles R. Wood Environmental Park. So I'm just passing that out today. It doesn't need any action. She asked me to bring it to the attention of you folks, as well as she has meant up to the village board.
I would
Yeah.
refer this to the tourism committee, which is meeting right after this one.
Sure. The only other thing is just a heads up that we did learn yesterday that the restrooms will be finished by the end of June. You know that we did approve porta-johns for Mr. Dutcher's event, but they're not going to be done for the next 3 weeks or 4, and we do have events booked for every single weekend. So I obtained quotes, the lowest being from Stone for porta-johns, and the quote was for 5 porta-johns for 28 days for $1,385 total. So that's just a heads up. That funding could come very well, with your permission, out of the money that you have advanced to the village. But I certainly think we owe them some porta-johns, being our restrooms won't be ready until we hope July. And this weekend's event is Americade, 2 nights, and it's a complete sellout.
You want to tackle it now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the expenditure for the porta-johns.
Second by Gene. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Carried.
Thank you very much. Oh,
One more thing, Mr.
Yep.
Mayor. You keep adding all these things. Can myself or the tourism department get a list of what you have now in place? And email blast coming out, I think that's an item that could be put on our county email blast website, just listing what's going on. It's not a, I think we can do that. And I
Yeah,
think
we'll
that's-
send it down to Lisa. I just booked these events the day before yesterday, so it's always changing, and the promoter is actually gonna meet me this afternoon,
Yeah,
so.
I think if we get that out, and,
Yeah.
it would help people see what's coming, and maybe they'll start
Yeah.
booking earlier to stay overnight in our area, and
It's
would like
still,
to see that.
it's still a work in progress, as you know. September, the road in front is gonna be under construction. I've got 4 events every weekend. That's gonna be very tenuous. It's gonna be like the Big Apple Circus deal. It's gonna be a tough time to get there. There still is no sign on the road, but I've made a deal with Kabricki Construction, and we're gonna have a sign up sometime in the middle of July to advertise, an LED sign on Route 9, which that's taken care of. So all those things we'll have next year. I hope the promoters understand that. We've gotta work with them as much as we can they're taking a leap of faith with us. I told them it's never gonna be the same, the price isn't gonna be the same. This is an opening sale. If you want it next year, it's gonna probably cost you more for sure. And we're also having meetings, obviously, on the stage. We intend to make a grant application for that sometime in the fall to that CFA grounding. We need a stage, very badly. That's been a real big problem, trying to line up stages, so.
I'd like to offer a huge tip of the hat to you for promotion of the Charles Wood space, because you're doing a fantastic job.
I enjoy it. I just would like to just mention briefly that I'm driving my ladies in the office crazy. And I see humor in it. I'm not sure they do, but before your budget next year, we need to work in some administrative assistant on a part-time basis, hourly basis, to just assist me with the bookwork, the permits, the permitting, the insurances, the telephone calls, going to some of these meetings, and but I'll prepare that all well in time and that's for next year. That's not now. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, discuss proposed local law concerning the collection of occupancy tax from remarketers. Martin, I think we should go forward with it, because it doesn't matter if we're losing 3,000 or 300,000, we're losing money.
Mr. Chairman, I think this local law in the form that's presented is ready to go. This has been out there for a couple of years now, and as I indicated at the last meeting, I think if we are going to, at this point, try to seek the difference from the remarketers, and that's again that difference between what they buy it for and what they sell it for, that's the amount of money that the occupancy tax is now being paid on. The only way we're going to be able to do that is if we have a local law in place. Now, we may get a challenge on that. Saratoga County has a similar local law in place. They have not been challenged. I don't know how successful they have been, but I think if we're going to be in a position where we want to try to seek to collect those amounts, it's really simple for me to say. We need to have this local law in place. How we go about doing it, the mechanics of it, it's all set forth in the local law, but the personnel needed, the time needed, the resources needed, it's going to come through the treasurer's office. It's not going to come through my office. So it's very easy for me to sit here and say we ought to have this local law in place to seek to try to collect those funds. Whether we're successful in doing so, I think, is really where in how to do that, I think, is where the discussion should be at this point in time.
Mike, do you have the staff necessary to?
No. This is going to be an enforcement problem no matter how we go about it, all right? But I agree with you, Sharon, that even if it's $3,000, it's money that we're not getting that we should be getting. So I don't know how much it's going to be. I know Saratoga County is having minimal success with it, because I don't even know how many of these remarketers are out there. That's the problem.
I think there's at least 50 of them.
Yeah, so to get to what we have to do is basically blanket them with the information stating that if you're doing something within Warren County, these zip codes, or however we're going to try to structure it, you owe us, a percentage of whatever you're making above what you're paying for the room. If they comply, they comply. If they don't, I don't know how we would, that's a question I guess we'd have to talk to Martin about, but if they don't, I don't know how we would even be able to go after them, because bottom line is, I don't know how many they're doing.
Well, I think, Mr. Chairman, I think this would put us in a position where we are in the same status with Saratoga County when it comes to this particular aspect of the law. And the enforcement aspect of it, if the remarketers do not pay, if they're asked to pay, they refuse to pay, we're going to have to talk about that from a legal perspective and what we want to do to enforce. I might consult with my colleague in Saratoga County about that, to see what they would have in mind and what success they're having or not having, as the case may be. Or it may be that we get a challenge as well. We might anticipate that one of these remarketing firms, they're large, they're Hotwire, Orbitz, Hotels.com. These are big firms. I'm sure they're represented by big law firms. You know, we might expect a challenge from them as well. So, but that's okay. You know, that's fine. If we do, we do. But I think my sense is that if Mike, if you're comfortable putting this law in place, let's see what the reaction is at the public hearing, the reaction from the full Board of Supervisors. Let's get it in place. Let's send some notices out there to these remarketing firms, what the reaction is, and we'll go from there.
I agree.
John?
Well, I'm a little bit concerned by the time we get done with adding personnel to Mike's department so that they can monitor the situation, and we might be challenged, and there might be legal fees, and after all the costs involved in trying to get the 3,000, how much will it cost us to get 3,000? I mean,
Well,
if
I
3,000
just use 3,000 as a...
well, yeah, and I realize that. My
imaginary
point is,
number.
are we spending 5 to get 3?
What's Saratoga County getting? Do you know?
I don't have an exact figure from them, but they're, as far as what they're telling me, they're making money on it. In other words, what they're getting is offsetting any expenses they're having.
Yeah.
It's not a windfall that they thought they were gonna get, but they're making money on it.
I think we should go forward with it and
I
try
agree.
it.
I think the staffing problem in my office, I think, and this is kind of jumping the gun a little bit because I was gonna discuss this at budget time. I have a part-time person down there. I may wanna ask to extend that because we're having problems keeping up with the occupancy tax now, okay? Because it is getting bigger and bigger all the time. So, you know, this is something at the budget time I was gonna talk about, maybe expanding that person that's part-time to a full-time position.
There we go.
But we'll see, but we may be able to work something out on that. I think it's worth trying. Definitely, I mean, if it doesn't work for us, then we can always change it.
Yeah. Rachel?
You know, I mentioned this option quite a bit, but as I'm listening to this discussion, I'm thinking about an opportunity for an internship, for a 2-semester internship for a college student who's in accounting or business or government who really wouldn't be a cost to the county other than training, but could certainly generate some revenues into looking into this, and what a great experience it would be to give a college student, but also the county would certainly reap benefits from it. And I know they're very anxious to get started with some credit internships, so
Yeah,
we're not talking.
we just finished one.
Yeah, I mean,
This
maybe
spring.
if you had someone over a period of 6 months, you know, not just a 1-semester internship, this could be something that wouldn't, you know, cripple your staff for a short period of time, that could help research that.
I still think there's a lot of different scenarios that we need to work out with it, but I still think it's worth trying.
So, Dennis?
My apologies for being late.
It's okay.
I just got here. I think it's worth doing if for no other reason than to be a deterrent. Definitely don't want this to get away from us either. So I think if we do something now and people realize that we're aware of it and doing something, I think that'll help. See how it goes? I agree with
Okay,
Mike.
do we have a motion to
I'll make-
continue forward with the local law? Edna?
That motion.
Dennis? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Carried.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, so this would set this up for a public hearing at your July meeting.
Okay. Old business, none. New business, if any? New business? Motion to adjourn? Thank you. Mark?
Yes, sir.